In this video, I will be going through how to set up a YouTube ads campaign to get you the most amount of clicks for the least amount of budget. Now, this strategy is going to be going after different interests and demographics of your target audience, and I'm going to dive right into the platform to showcase how to do that. Let's do it. The first thing you're going to want to do is head over to ads.google.com, and you'll need to make yourself an ad account. The process is very straightforward, and I'm confident you'll be able to figure that out yourself, so we're just going to save a little bit of time and jump right into the platform. This is what the Google Ads platform looks like, and this is where you will be running your YouTube campaign. Since Google owns YouTube, you run your ads directly through the Google Ads interface. So again, ads.google.com. And we are going to go to the campaigns column here and click on this blue button to create a campaign. The things that you see inside the interface, things that are blue, is how you create a new thing. So when we get to the ad section, that is how you will make a new ad. This is how you make new audiences and all that kind of stuff. So keep blue in mind for the Google Ads dashboard. After clicking on the blue plus button, we are going to go to New Campaign. And the campaign type that we are going to be making is going to be for website traffic. Let's click on Create a Campaign without a goals guidance. And by doing that, we can go directly to video. So this is where we make our video ads. There are 4 different campaigns that we can make here. We can do a custom campaign, non-skippable, conversions campaign, or a sequencing campaign. For purposes of this video, I'm going to be showcasing the custom video option. You may want to select some of these other options if you only want to run a pre-roll type of ad, which is 15 seconds up to the video. This is a conversion action-based campaign where typically it's either lead gen or e-commerce, and it'll either put a form within your video or it'll put a product within your video. And or sequencing, where you can showcase and kind of drip videos to your target customer after watching certain portions. The reason why we're going to go to custom video creation is because it gives us more flexibility, and it actually allows us to do all of these options. So definitely make sure you check that out. After clicking through continue, we are going to be guided through a campaign wizard here on the left-hand side. And I'm going to take you through each step from the campaign settings all the way through ad creation. So let's get it. You'll first want to name your campaign at the top here. The next option we are going to want to select is bid strategy. Now, bid strategy is very important because this is going to determine how you are paying for when people are interacting with your video. So there are 2 strategies by default. You can either do maximum cost per view, that's what CPV stands for, or target CPM, cost per 1,000 impressions. Now, I always recommend to do cost per view, because if you go the CPM route, you are going to be paying when people just see the impression of your video, not when they actually engage or watch your video. The reason why you want to do CPV is because you are paying for people to actually view your content. Now, a view on YouTube is a little bit different than other platforms. A view on YouTube means either they watch 30 seconds of your video or they watch up to 30 seconds. So if your video is only 15 seconds and they watch the entire thing, that is when you'll be charged for a view. If your video is 50 seconds and they only watch 25 seconds, you're not going to be charged for that view. So that's why YouTube is kind of a nice platform if you're trying to get out either long form or short form content. There's a bunch of strategies that go in there. But the reason why you want to go cost per view is because you're paying for people who are actually watching your video instead of just seeing impressions of your video out on YouTube. Let's do maximum cost per view. And then we're going to input a budget. Now, typically for budget, I recommend at least $10 per day if you can swing it. Now, that is $300 per month. The way Google Ads works is if you put $10 per day, it's not going to spend more than $300 in a month. But they can spend up to double your budget in one day. If you put $10 in here, there's a chance that they may spend $20, but they're not going to spend over $300 for the portion of the campaign total. Start date and end date if we'd like to fight out our campaign. So I'm going to tell this campaign to run through August. So I'm going to tell it to run for a month. This is typically safe because then it only allows your campaign to run for a set duration, and then you have to manually come back in here to turn it back on. This is just a safe way to sort of run this to ensure that you're not overspending. The networks piece is very crucial. I like to turn off the display network when I first launch these campaigns, and the reason for that is because I only want people to see my ad when they are on YouTube or they're on the search results page on YouTube. I do not want the option of people to see it when they're browsing websites like weather.com, Forbes, ESPN, or anywhere else on the web where they are eligible to see my ad. I only want users to see ads on YouTube. That's why we are not selecting the display network option. Next is the targeting. It really depends exactly what your goal is. For purposes of this video, I'm going to do the United States. I would only like to hit native English speakers with my targeting, so make sure you put in the languages you would like to target. And now this content exclusions piece that I'm about to jump into is really important. So if you're not paying attention, pay attention now. This content exclusion piece here is really important to ensure that you do not do limited inventory. It's going to exclude a lot of different options. You're going to want to select standard inventory. And the reason for that is because you're not expanding your inventory and you're not hitting a lot of users. You're targeting users that Google thinks is the most relevant for your business. So definitely recommend to start with standard inventory. And if your reach is too broad, you can always shrink it down to limited inventory over time. The next piece that I do is excluded types and labels is you definitely want to make sure that you're turning some of these off. I typically like to get rid of MA mature audiences. And again, this is going to depend on your brand and what you're trying to accomplish. I also don't like to show on embeds or live streams. And the reason for that is because on an embed, you may be scrolling on the page and you may go by your video. And a live streaming video, you may not always be actively paying attention to that specific page. So I typically like to recommend this campaign setting here by disabling embeds, live streaming, not rated, and MA. And then related videos, this is another section where you can add other videos that you think you should serve your ad just based on exactly who your target audience is. So for purposes of my channel, let's say I would like to serve this on the Google Ads page. I could throw in, here, this video is relevant to mine. I can throw in another Google Ads video here. This one's relevant to mine. I can then be done, and then these are going to help increase engagement because it's going to show my content as a related video on this video. Now, do not skip over this portion. You want to go to additional settings to showcase the different devices to show on. Depending on what you would like people to do, you may only want to serve ads to people who are on mobile. You may only want to serve to people who are on desktop. Historically, I've liked to only show it to users that are on desktop, and the reason for that is because they are much more likely to make a purchase than a user who's on mobile, depending on what your product is. So if I'm looking for someone to download a browser-based Chrome extension, I'm not going to want to target them on mobile. I'm only going to want to target them on desktop. That typically is going to be a more engaged user, but again, it highly, highly depends on who your target customer is. Scrolling down, you can also target operating systems, models, and networks. I typically don't worry too much about these as I typically focus just on the specific device. Now, if you're selling a specific app that only has an Android version or an iOS version, you can do that here. So you can hit only iOS users or only Android users. So really make sure to go through all these targeting options. And the reason why it's so important to do this is because if you do not select these options, Google is going to go out and serve, waste your spend, and it's not being as efficient as it can be. Name of the game here is do not waste spend. Scrolling down to frequency capping, frequency means how often is someone seeing your ad within a certain time frame. I normally like to cap view frequency. I don't care how often you see my ad because I'm only paying for when people view my ad, if you remember back to that previous spot. So I'm going to cap this amount per day. I don't want someone to see my ad more than 3 views per day. There's a couple of reasons for that. I don't want people to feel spammed by my video. I want my spend to work as efficiently as possible. And again, I can always come back to this number and tinker it based on the results that I'm getting. So for frequency, I like to go somewhere between like the 3 to like 7 range. It's really based on the testing that you're doing and based on the testing that I've done for my specific campaigns for my website. This works best for me. Go out and test. Let me know what works best for you. Ad scheduling is how often you would like your ads to run. Perhaps you only want your ad to run during business hours. That's great. You can have it run during business hours. That's no problem. So you can do that. You can do all days, and you can say, here's my time frame. I want to run it from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. A key thing to know here is that the time zone is based during your account time zone. So right now I'm in Central Time Zone. That's where I set up this account. So all of these settings would be reflected in Central Time Zone -5 GMT. You can also add in Mondays through Fridays, I want it to be this, and then Saturdays and Sundays, I want it to be this. You can get very flexible based on when your ads are serving, based on what is best for you or your business. And that was the campaign creation for YouTube. We are now going to dive into the ad group creation. So what we just did was we made the greater shell and we told all of the campaign settings within this specific section to say, here's all of our targeting options, our bidding strategy, the networks we want to target, all that kind of stuff. Now we're going to get into our audience targeting for the ad group about who are the people that we would like to target. And then finally, what type of ad do we want to hit them with? Scrolling down to the ad group, I would highly recommend that you name your ad group the users that you would like to be targeting. So I would like to target males who are 25 through 45 and then who have YouTube interests. And the reason for that is because I'm going to be targeting users who are interested in a extension called TubeBuddy, which is a browser-based extension that helps grow your YouTube channel. So I want to target males who are 24 to 45 who have interests in a YouTube channel. Now, here's where I want to go through that targeting to kind of build out that demographic and the interest that I'm talking about. So let's expand the demographic section here. You have a lot of options. We have gender, age, parental status, and household income. Now, the key thing here, everyone, the more targeted you get with this, the lower your reach is going to be. And in the upper right-hand corner, YouTube has a estimate tool that is built out that shows you how many available impressions you are likely to get on a daily basis. So right now I'm likely to get 6.3 billion impressions. If I just had all the money in the world, I would be able to do that. Again, for this video, I would like to hit males who are 24 to 45 and who have YouTube interests. So I am going to select male, unknown, users who do not have a gender assigned to their profile. I would then like to uncheck 18 to 24, uncheck everything else under here. So I'm hitting 25 to 34. And you can see in real time, my impressions are changing. So I've just cut off about a quarter of my targeting so far just by doing this. I don't really care what their parental status is. I'm doing this based on interests and targeting, and I don't really care what their household income is. I could also, if I really wanted to, get rid of like lower 50% income if I wanted to get super targeted, or 41 to 50. However, I like to leave this all enabled because Google doesn't have the best household income estimates in my experience, so I like to typically leave that off. Next, if we scroll down to the audience segments, I can now build out very specific audiences and say, here are the users I would like to target based on very specific audience signals. Now, I can either browse all these signals to say, hey, they are parents, they're married, they have certain education. The best thing you can do, honestly, for your brand is go to this browse section for audience segments and just start going through the menus and see what makes sense for your business, or use a third-party tool like Google Analytics or some other kind of data studio that allows you to know exactly who your target audience is, and then you can search for those people. Let's say I'm a plumber. I can type in plumbing into here, and it's going to show me different in-market and other audiences that they think make sense, and I can kind of go through those, hover over them. They're going to tell me what it is, people who are interested in plumber, emergency plumber, and I can target those types of users, and that's all great. So really spend a lot of time going through this browse section to see who exactly you would like to target. Now, I have made custom audience segments based on the users I would like to target, and I have custom segments that I can target. So if you type in something here in the search bar at the top, and if you click on custom segment, you can build out your own segment of people that have specific interests, of people who have either searched something on Google, they have either purchase intentions, or they visited similar websites. This is the targeting that I typically like to do on YouTube ads because it allows me to get one step further based on intent campaigns. Now, there's a whole different video that I have out here about this type of targeting. I'll have it in the upper right-hand corner, and you should check that out. But if you're trying to run YouTube ads, this is the secret sauce right here that you're going to want to build out for your business. So again, the way I got there, if you don't want to rewind, is you can go to audience segments, search for anything, and then build out your own custom segment. And I can call this YouTube influencers. And then I can add in different terms that people have searched on Google. So I can do, yeah, exactly, subscribe to our YouTube channel subscribe, stuff like that. And now when somebody goes out and searches for any of these things on Google, I can now target them with my ads. This is the secret sauce and how you want to target these folks. Let's back out of this and go back to our menu here. So I'm going to hit how to make a YouTube channel because I already made a custom intent audience here. What I typically recommend for these types of ads is not to expand your audience. And the reason for that is because Google is just going to expand that audience, trying to get you cheaper views, but those views are not going to be as relevant to you or your business. So do not do that. Finally, you can get down into the content area and you can show ads for people that are searching specific keywords or watching specific topics or are on specific placements. So if they're watching a specific YouTube video, you can hit people there. This section here, if you do content, it's going to be a much smaller reach and typically more expensive. So if you only have like a $5 or $10 a day budget, and if you get down to this section here, your budget's not going to go very far. You're going to be spending a lot more on each click versus if you go up here and you do more intent-based audiences, your reach is going to be much bigger. Comment down below if you'd like some more clarification on that, or if you'd like more help. I'd happy to do that. Or visit me on Discord. A link will be in the upper right-hand corner and down below in the description, and I can help walk you through that process. It's relatively straightforward, but it can be confusing if you haven't done it before. After working through the content section, you want to set a bid. I recommend the smallest bid possible right away, and it's really going to depend on what your reach is. So you can see right now, based on all the audience signals that I've done above, I've got about 250 million impressions that I'm working with, which again is a ton of impressions, but in the grand scheme of things, it's down from 6.3 billion. So you're not going to know what a good maximum cost per view bid is right away. So I would recommend to do like 10% of your budget, of the daily budget, to at least start. So I had a $10 daily budget. I would do a $1 bid. If I only had $1 a day, I would do a 10-cent bid. Realistically, every one of your views are going to come in between like the 8 to 30 cent range based on how targeted you're getting. Now, if you're only hitting like very specific YouTube channels, like if you're trying to place an ad on my YouTube channel, or like not a ton of people are watching it, like Mr. Beast or something like that, the placements are going to change drastically, and the inventory isn't very large, so that'd probably be pretty expensive just to place an ad on like smaller content creators' channels. And now you can also choose to pay more if it is like a top piece of content, meaning if it's ranking on the top of the page or if it has a lot of engagement. So I can say, hey, if YouTube, if you consider this a top piece of content, I'm willing to pay 50% more per click. So in this instance, I'm willing to pay as much as 15 cents per view versus 10 cents per view. So this is just kind of adjust the way that you do your bid. And that's how you do all of the audience and ad group targeting for a YouTube ad campaign. Now, the final part, and honestly, one of the most important parts, is the ad copy itself. Right now, we worked our way through the campaign settings to say, here's what our frequency looks like, here's what our ad scheduling looks like. We then worked through our ad groups to kind of carve out our audience segments. And now we're going to work through the copy itself as to the final output that somebody's going to see when they browse on YouTube. So if you scroll down to the ad section over here, if you click ads on the left-hand menu, you're going to have to find your YouTube video that you would like to promote. And a crucial piece to remember is this needs to be a YouTube video. That means it needs to be uploaded to youtube.com. So if you do not have that video uploaded to YouTube yet, go and do it. Now, it does not need to be public. It can be unlisted, meaning it doesn't have to be on your channel and it can be hidden somewhere. So either have a public YouTube video or an unlisted YouTube video, and you would put that here. So I'm going to put in my impression share Ray Sawvell video. Well, actually, you know what? I'll do my TubeBuddy Ray Sawvell video. And here's a video I made right here that I would like to use as my ad. And then here is where you can choose what type of ad you would like this to be. So would you like this to be a skippable ad that is sort of a pre-roll, or would you like this to be showing up on the actual YouTube search results or next as like a recommended video? And if you click on each one of these options, it's going to showcase what they look like here on the right-hand side. And you can select this preview up here in the upper right-hand corner to show what it looks like on mobile, desktop, and TV. Now, if you remember, I'm only targeting users on desktop for this campaign based on my ad group settings, so I want to see what this looks like on desktop. This is what the pre-roll section looks like. So pre-roll is typically really good if you have like a really strong call to action, or if it's like a 30-second long video, something along those lines. I normally like to play around with the in-feed videos, and the reason for that is because it takes my current YouTube video and it'll push it to the top of the page for people to engage with, or it'll show it in like a bunch of different locations. So here's what it looks like on the in-feed section. Here's what it looks like on someone else's YouTube video. And it just kind of shows exactly where it may be based on what users are exactly looking at. So again, if you click on these different options over here, and then if you click on the previews, it'll show you exactly what your ad will look like. And then you can either use your custom thumbnail or a pull out from your specific video. And then here's where you put in your headline, description, and then you name your ad. So I'm going to do that here very quick. All right, now I have my headline and descriptions filled out, so I can preview it here on the right-hand side. Is TubeBuddy worth it? Rank your videos fast. Try TubeBuddy free. Great. So now if somebody clicks on that ad and they watch 30 seconds of my video, I will then be charged for that ad based on my maximum bid on the previous page. Now, this is one type of ad that you can make. I can also choose to make more ad variants, which I will jump to in 1 second to kind of showcase how to make more than one ad. Now that I have one in-feed ad made, I'm going to show you what it looks like to make a skippable in-stream ad, or that pre-roll section. So you would just click on ad creation below. You'll see the worth it ad copy variant here. I would go to new video ad. I would look for my rank TubeBuddy Ray Sawvell video. Let's say I want to do this video this time, and I also want this one to be an in-feed video. One thing to mention that I did not mention is that if you make one ad group, you need to use the same ad format. So I cannot have a pre-roll video and a in-feed video inside the same ad group. I would need to duplicate out this ad group and then make a in-stream format. Again, comment down below if you would like some help, or let me know on Discord. And now that I have the headlines and descriptions filled out on this ad copy, I'm going to click on Create Campaign. And now what it's doing is it's taking me through all of the campaign creation settings here. I can review things very high level. So campaign is going to start today, and on August 31st, I am doing a cost per view, and I'm only hitting standard inventory. And then I can expand this here to get a real high level of what I'm targeting. So, hey, I'm hitting 24 to 45, 10-cent bid. 24 to 45, great. I'm hitting the audience segment of how to make a YouTube channel. Any keyword, any topic, any placement, I don't care because I want them to focus here. So now if I click on Continue to Campaign, you'll notice that I have this YouTube test campaign created, and here is this audience segment. So now my campaign will begin to run. I should see delivery within 24 to 48 hours. It can take a little bit of time if you haven't ran a YouTube or Google Ads campaign before. So just give it a little bit of time, monitor it. Based on the results that you're getting, you can then pause things. Comment down below if you would like another video on how to optimize your YouTube campaigns, because that's a whole separate video, so let me know. And that's it. You're live and running. Appreciate you guys watching. If you guys have any questions, let me know down below in the comments. If you made it to the end, please consider subscribing. It'll let me know that these are the type of videos that you guys like. And I've obviously called up my Discord channel a couple times too. Feel free to hang out with me and some other digital marketing folks as well. Until next time, appreciate you all. Thanks. Bye.